Local historians are calling on the state to establish a committee to oversee the historic grounds and collection at the Georgia Governor's Mansion. Our Fox 5 I-team has learned that it's exactly what Governor Brian Kemp is doing.
Yeah, the call for action follows a Fox 5 I-team report about the destruction and the removal of historic artifacts at the mansion. Fox 5 I-team reporter Dale Russell has been following these developments and joins us now with the latest.
Yeah, and a lot going on tonight. We've learned that these historians are getting their wish. Governor Kemp's spokesperson tells me the governor's staff has already invited people to serve on a commission to oversee the preservation and development of the mansion, and just in time, say the historians.
When you remove any part of history, you may lose a bit of the story.
Atlanta Preservation Center Director Boyd Coons and other historians we've spoken to expressed a range of emotions from sadness to outrage when they saw our report on the destruction and removal of historic artifacts at the governor's mansion.
We've already paid the price. We've already paid for something that's gotten our attention. Let's use it in a positive way and safeguard these things for the future.
The Fox 5 I-team reported the Georgia Building Authority destroyed these historic columns that adorned a tennis court on the mansion grounds for over 100 years. Governor Kemp's spokesperson says they had hoped to store the columns, but they fell apart during removal, proving they were dangerous. But this email shows that's not true. The Building Authority landscape manager spelled out plans for those columns before they were moved. They were to be taken to a transfer station, which was this junkyard in East Point. Is it disappointing to you when you see this kind of loss?
Yes, it makes me ill.
The Building Authority also removed these Italian statues that were a signature part of a formal garden created a century ago by a former Atlanta mayor. The statue pedestals were destroyed in the move. A spokesperson for the governor says the state moved the statues so the Building Authority could use heavy equipment to prune bushes that had grown up around them. But we obtained this work order summary showing plans to remove fountain statues and remove Lower Fountain where the statues stood. That fountain removal project is now on hold, according to the Building Authority.
Seeing something of beauty willfully removed is very difficult.
While the preservation community holds its collective breath, the I-team examined recently created state plans to tear down another historic structure. This barn is a carriage house that has sat in the same spot for over 100 years. The inside has been renovated many times, but the exterior has remained basically the same. The future of the barn has been discussed for years by various governors. This year, the Building Authority prepared plans for the demolition and replacement of the barn. Asked to assess the property, the state's Historic Preservation Division found it was eligible for listing in the Georgia National Register of Historic Places, and to tear it down would have a significant impact. We're told there are no plans to demolish the barn at this time. Would you want it saved?
I certainly would. Again, it's part of an ensemble that represents ways to look back in history and contextualize what happened on that site, what happened in the city, what happened in the state.
Boyd Coons and 6 other historic preservationists we spoke to have long fought to have the state of Georgia establish a fine arts commission with historic preservationists as members to be caretakers of the mansion. One historian wrote in an email after our first report aired, "We have known that we needed legislation to protect the design and furnishings of the main public rooms of the mansion for years. Until such legislation is enacted, the collection is vulnerable to personal and political whims, and that is a very bad situation."
This is more than 200 years old.
But there is already legislation in place called the Executive Center Fine Arts Committee. The mission, guide the preservation and development of the mansion. We're told Governor Kemp's staff have begun to invite people to serve on the committee.
It's like from the 1820s.
Kemp's spokesperson wrote us to say, as stewards of the people's house, the First Family works tirelessly to ensure the mansion is accessible, beautiful, and safe, and the Kemps encourage Georgia families to come and visit.
This is an opportunity. I don't believe this should be anything punitive or political or partisan or anything other than an opportunity to safeguard what is a state treasure for the citizens of the state, and to make sure that that continues for generations to come.
And Boyd Coons tells me he hopes the governor appoints historians and people qualified in their respective fields, as well as friends of the governor's. A spokesperson for Governor Kemp told me tonight that is exactly what Governor Brian Kemp is planning on doing. Russ, Sine.
All right. Thank you so much, Dale.